Are you one of the many people who wonder why they get their best ideas in the shower? The answer to this eternal question might seem confusing, as it's one of a number of paradoxes you've probably never thought about. But they do exist and pretty much rule your life. Before you get to know about 16 of the most widespread paradoxes, hit the subscribe button and ring this small notification bell to join us on the bright side of life. 16. The more effort you make to impress people, the less impressed they are. The problem might be in people's inborn sensitivity to deception. When you are trying too hard to impress people, you aren't likely to show your true self. Subconsciously, people will feel your insincerity and won't fall for your performance. This paradox can probably be explained by the law of reversed effort, and this law is, in turn, closely connected with the following psychological paradox. 15. The harder you try to achieve your goal, the harder it will be to get there. Your mind can play some pretty cruel tricks on you. For example, if you expect something to be difficult, you unconsciously overcomplicate things. Let's say that some people have difficulty making friends. They spend tons of time planning on how to approach a potential friend, creating strategies and studying human psychology. They don't realize that they can start by simply saying hello and being friendly. Don't try to develop strategies and make the task more difficult than it is. Just take the first step. 14. The more honestly you speak about your mistakes, the more perfect you seem to other people. Vulnerability is an amazing thing. When you aren't afraid to demonstrate it and feel comfortable about not being ideal, people tend to think that you're perfect. Just another paradox of the human mind, I guess. So admit your flaws and failures, and people will adore and admire you. 13. The more you dislike something about another person, the more likely it is that you have this character trait yourself. According to Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, if there's a trait that bothers you in others, it reflects those parts of you that you deny or feel insecure about. Thus, a man who criticizes others for their financial problems, or on the contrary, financial success, is most likely worried about his income. And a woman who calls those around her fat secretly believes that she is also overweight. 12. People who don't trust others can't be trusted either. You've probably already figured out that people are complicated creatures. They often hurt others in order not to be hurt themselves. Those who feel insecure about any kind of connection they have with others often use this tactic. The same goes for trust. There are people who believe you shouldn't trust others or rely on anyone. You'll only be let down. On top of that, you shouldn't invoke trust either. Such an approach is truly catastrophic. It can destroy any relations you have. Learn to trust people in small things first. As soon as you get used to being able to rely on someone, take bigger steps. 11. The more failures you've had, the more likely you are to succeed in the end. You will probably agree that success comes through improvement. But improvement is closely connected with mistakes and failure. There's nothing wrong with trying again and again. You'll succeed eventually. For example, Albert Einstein's schoolteacher considered the genius to be one of the worst students in his class. Michael Jordan was thrown off his high school team. And Thomas Edison tried more than 10,000 prototypes of the light bulb before he got it right. 10. The more you fear death, the less you enjoy life. Any fear you have paralyzes your desire to be happy and enjoy your life. And since the fear of death is one of the most potent fears a person can have, it doesn't let you live your life to the fullest. Remember that nobody will avoid this outcome. It's up to you how you spend the years you have, being happy and free, or scared, paranoid, and cautious. 9. This may not fit into your picture of a self-centered egotist, but people do treat others in the same way that they treat themselves. You might not notice it at first sight, but be sure that those who are rude, uncaring, and impolite to other people are just as negligent to themselves. 8. The more friends you make, the more lonely you feel. Statistically, people nowadays communicate more than ever. At the same time, numerous studies prove again and again that loneliness and depression have become our worst enemies. This is especially true for the most developed countries. Indeed, there are only 24 hours in a day. Lots of friends, acquaintances, and social connections result in relationships becoming more shallow and unimportant. You simply don't have enough time to spend with the people you care about. 7. The more you argue, the less likely you are to convince people of your point of view. Everyone has an ego, and when this ego feels threatened, its owner tends to reject even the most logical and sensible arguments. If you really want to convince someone, stop arguing. Give the other party time to come to the same conclusion on their own. Emotional arguments will get you nowhere, which you probably know if you've ever been to an internet forum. Duh. 6. The more options you have, the less happy you are with each of them. This is the famous paradox of choice, where people who are presented with more options feel less satisfied with the one they make. When you make your choice, you automatically reject other alternatives, and the more options you have, the stronger the feeling that you've lost more than you've received. 5. The more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. Every time you learn something new, it evokes even more questions in your mind. Thus, the more you know, the better you understand how little you know. That's why the most intelligent people don't try to show off their knowledge. 4. Overconfident people are rarely right. The previous point is connected with another psychological paradox. The more convinced a person is that they are right, the less likely they are to know the subject. The problem is that many facts change over time, but an overly confident person isn't likely to check the truthfulness of something they think they know. 3. The harder you try to keep a person close, the more you push them away. When you try to be as close as possible to another person, that's mostly your jealousy speaking. Such behavior can only make your partner feel obliged to love you and be loyal, and that's not a healthy relationship. Besides, if your partner feels that they have to spend weekends with you, the time when you are together doesn't mean much, does it? 2. The less available something is, the more you want it. This paradox seems to be programmed into human nature. People perceive the least available things as the most valuable. This is scarcity bias in action. People unconsciously believe that things that aren't abundant aren't as important as desirable as those that are scarce. 1. The best ideas come to you in the shower. It turns out that there are several things that can seriously increase your chances of having a great idea. First of all, there must be a lot of dopamine in your brain. Dopamine production can be triggered by listening to your favorite music, exercising, and having a warm shower. Secondly, you should be relaxed. A relaxed state of mind can help you turn your focus inward. Thus, your mind will be more likely to make insightful connections. In addition, you should be distracted. This will give your brain some free time, and your subconscious will start to use more creative ways to solve problems. Now let's see. Getting extra dopamine, feeling relaxed, and being distracted. Check, check, and check. Now I see why great ideas occur to me in the shower. How many paradoxes have you come across in your lifetime? Tell us about your experience in the comments below. Remember to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and click subscribe to join us on the bright side of life.